I'm going to call this tonight's meeting of the Utility Service Board to order. And first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our previous meeting on September 13th. Are there any questions or revisions to the minutes? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes from September 13th?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Kepler,
Yes?
White,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, motion is approved. Next is approval of the claims. First item is the standard invoices in the amount of $1,245,772.10. Are there any questions or comments on standard invoices? All right, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina?
White,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes?
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is the utility bills in the amount of $176,820.38. Any questions or comments on utility bills? All right, then is there a motion to approve utility bills?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is wire transfers in the amount of $370,505.39. Any questions or comments on wire transfers? Seeing none, then is there a motion to approve wire transfers?
So moved.
Second.
Latrina?
White,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes?
Burnham,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Last item under claims is the customer refunds in the amount of $9,091.12. Any questions or comments on customer refunds? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve customer refunds?
Yes. So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Kepler,
Yes?
Parmenter,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, refunds are approved. Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the consent agenda. And so for that, I'll turn it over to Vic Kelson.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Vic Kelson, Director of Utilities. We have 6 items on the consent agenda tonight, totaling $31,731.73. The first is for no money to Shady Side Drive Water Corporation. This is a wholesale contract renewal. The second is Corson Fire and Security, $4,891.73 for a fire and burglar alarm panel. I believe, is that at the service center, Laura? The next is to Rumpke of Indiana for $0. That's a First Amendment to extend the contract expiration date. The fourth item is to Heflin Industries, $3,840 to install exhaust piping for air compressors at Monroe Water Treatment Plant. Item E, Maxim Crane Works LP for $15,000. That's an on-call contract for crane services. And then finally, BL Anderson, $8,000 for First Amendment for instrument calibration. Is there anyone who would like to take up any of these items separately? Hearing none, if there's no opposition, The consent agenda will be approved as recommended by staff. Hearing no opposition, the contract agenda is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Beck. All right. The next item on the agenda is not yet ready for consideration, item number 5. So we will move on to item number 6, which is a request for approval of an agreement with Synthesis Inc. for improvements to the disinfection system controls at the Dillman wastewater treatment plant. And Dan Hudson is going to tell us about this. Dan?
Yes, this is Dan Hudson. I'm for the record, I'm the capital project manager for the city of Bloomington Utilities. I'm asking the board to consider a contract with Synthesis for $51,100 for the design of the installation of 2 pieces of lab equipment. One is a inductively coupled plasma optical emission spectrometer, and the other one is an atomic absorption spectrometer. The plasma machine is a fairly complicated piece of equipment and needs to be installed correctly. That's why we're going to an outside design consultant to make sure all the safety is designed into the installation. So any questions? I'm available for questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay, then seeing none, is there a motion to approve this agreement with Synthesis Inc.?
So moved.
second,
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Parmenter,
yes,
White,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Roberts,
yes,
Sherman,
yes,
Kapler.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is a request for approval of. a
Madam Chair,
Yes.
sorry, this is Chris Wheeler, City Legal. I hate to interrupt you, but I think we should probably have a motion to table the FBHQ or whatever the
Oh, okay.
FPBH Inc.
Yes.
agreement. I'd like to see if you could get a motion to table that until the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, that would be good. So is there a motion to table item number 5, the request for approval of agreement with FPBH Inc.?
So moved.
second,
All right, and Latrina, please call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Sherman,
yes,
Burnham,
Yes.
Roberts,
yes,
Parmenter,
yes,
Kapler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I can't believe I did this. This is the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. I read the wrong consent agenda. I pulled it from the wrong email address, the wrong email.
I was wondering about that. I said, this doesn't match the agenda very well.
I was sitting there thinking these.
And I was raising my hand and I was like, and you didn't see me, Jean.
Sitting there thinking, boy, these sound familiar. I really apologize for this. Can I bring the proper consent agenda at this time, or do you want to
Yes,
wait?
please do.
Okay, there are 2 items on the consent agenda, which totals $12,933. The first is to SSW Enterprises. That's $9,093 for the Second Amendment to extend the electrostatic cleaning at all our facilities. That's related to COVID. And then the second item is to Control Freaks, $3,840 to replace a level indicator for caustic soda at the Monroe plant. Would anyone like to consider one of these separately? Hearing none, if there's no opposition, the consent agenda will be approved. Hearing no opposition, the consent agenda is approved with my apologies.
Thank you. Mr. White?
Yeah, I just have a question. Vic, how often are we cleaning these facilities? Are they basically the monthly or weekly? How does that work?
Well, earlier in the pandemic, and Laura may want to pitch in on this, we were doing it weekly. We do have this open contract so that when we have a positive case, we can call them in to disinfect any work areas that might have been affected. Laura, are we still doing regular weekly or monthly cleanings?
Weekly.
Weekly. So,
Yeah, I mean, our facilities are cleaned 3 times a week anyway, but we're doing the electrostatic, is that what it's called, cleaning once a week. And then if we get notification of a COVID case, we'll do a deep cleaning in any area that employee works in.
So the electrostatic spray is in all the common areas, or does it cover the private offices as well?
We'll do both. And if they're in a vehicle, we'll get their vehicle as well.
Are you doing weekly for vehicles as well?
No, we have alcohol wipes that they use and disinfectant spray that we encourage all of the employees to use. It would just be a huge undertaking for the cleaning crew to try to do that.
Right.
But if we know that there has specifically been a COVID case, we'll go and make sure that vehicle's cleaned extra thoroughly.
Well, I'm glad to hear of both the weekly and then on demand. And I can tell you from my experience at the university, you've got a pretty good price here. So good deal.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, next item is a request for approval of the MOU with Overlook on 46 LLC for a Clearwater Infiltration Reduction Program contribution. And Phil Peden will tell us about this.
Good evening, Phil Peden, Engineering Department. Yes, this is another Clearwater reduction MOU for a new development on the east side of Bloomington in the southeast sewer basin where we have limited capacity. And so we're offsetting the additional flow that's generated from this new development by reducing clear water, which comes into the sewer system through inflow and infiltration. And we just recently had one of these for the old Kmart site. This is a site a little further down 46 near Century Village, near the intersection of State Road 446. There's a vacant lot there. So this is an agreement with the Overlook on 46. They're going to contribute $155,644 to our program to offset their flow. They have 176 units in this new development for a total peak rate of flow of 164,800 gallons. I can answer any questions. I ask you to approve the MOU.
Amanda.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I'm not familiar with what this project is out there. Is it residential? Is it commercial? What's going on there?
It's multi-family apartments. It's a multi-family development. It's apartments, 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. White.
And so this is the total contribution?
Yes, this is the total contribution. They'll pay at the time that they get their building permit before they start construction.
And is this in the same basin that the Kmart development was in, same collection?
It's not the exact sub-basin, but it is collectively still in the southeast basin, still goes into the same interceptor sewer that's further south.
Okay, so then I assume we're probably able to build on that previous project we approved. In other words, look at other places where there might be clear water infiltration, building on the initial roster of places we needed to check on. Is that right?
That's exactly right. If you review this one compared to that MOU, we broadened that area within the description. So we went further south, further east.
Like a good solution. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? All right, then seeing none, is there a motion to approve this memorandum of understanding with Overlook on 46?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, please call the roll.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes.
Sherman.
yes,
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, before we move on in the agenda, I just want to let the public know that if you would like to make a comment, you can do that. If you're on the Zoom, you can put that comment in the chat, or if you're watching our Facebook live stream, you can put your comment in the comment section. And then at the end of the meeting, Holly will read those out for us, okay? So I want to check and see, is there any old business from the board? Any old business from staff? All right, any new business from the board? Any new business from staff?
None.
Okay. There are no subcommittee reports tonight, so we'll move on to staff reports. Vic Kelson.
I've just got a couple of things. The first one is to welcome a new employee, Austin Bennington, who is a laborer in T&D. Austin joined us last week, and we welcome him to our team. The second thing is I just wanted to touch base with everyone on the taste and odor issues that came up recently. It came on us all of a sudden. This is a naturally occurring substance that comes in from the lake. It's called MIB. Well, there's two chemicals, MIB and jasmine. There was a large algal bloom in the lake, which led to increasing concentrations of those chemicals. And it was apparently more than the activated carbon feed rate we were using could get out at the time. This was the first time since 2016 that we've had any taste and odor complaints at all. If people who've been around for a while remember, this used to happen every summer through most of the summer. We had the problem of the lake, of the water tasting like a lake or like a fish. So we're certainly next year we're looking into approaches we can take to be a little bit more aggressive and watching for this to happen again. Next year, we've been looking at some of the technology that we already have and looking at practices at the plant so we can try to get ahead of it a little quicker. Our staff at the plant increased the feed rate of activated carbon and also the another chemical additive that can help break down that MIB. So we haven't had any taste. We're tasting the water and smelling the water at the plant every single day. I think it's every hour of every day, and we haven't had any issues at the plant for several days now, maybe a week. So we're optimistic that it's all going to clear out of the system fairly quickly. We've also done some flushing of some of the lines in the system. So we continue to monitor it, but it appears to be attenuating, and it seemed like a big shock because it hasn't happened in so long that it seemed worse than it seemed really shockingly bad. So we're working on it right now. The other thing I have, and
I see some
yes.
questions.
Yes.
Let's see, I saw Megan first. Oh, and you're muted.
Now, thank you. Thank you, Vic, for all of that information and everyone who's been working on this to get this resolved as quickly as possible. Two questions. Number one, how long do we need to increase the carbon and the additives to the water? When will you know that you can reduce that? And number two, what is like the safest levels for those chemicals to be added to our water, and where are we at with that?
We're nowhere near the limit for either one of them. We've been feeding it at low dosages right along. So we did have plenty of room to adjust. As for the condition of the water, we got some data from the lab yesterday, and well, I guess it came today, but we did get some information from the outside laboratory that samples this. It shows that the algal bloom has diminished dramatically since last week. We had a very long stretch of temperatures in the 90s and no rainfall. And that's a bad combination late in the summer to have that happen. So it is attenuating now naturally, and we will be watching that and easing back off as things continue to improve.
Thank you.
And Amanda.
Those were great questions, Megan. Vic, also, I just want to echo what Megan has said. I know that there have been countless hours that the staff have been handling things, not only from the wastewater treatment end, but in press releases, and you've been taking calls and customer service. So thank you to everybody for addressing this. Vic, I know the answer. I think I know the answers to these things, but I think it's good for you to say them. Is the water safe to drink? And are there any suggestions or remedies to kind of get through it? Because I do know and I know it's different in different parts of town. At my home, it tastes more like dirt than it does in the downtown area. But I don't know if you can address those two things.
Sure. And it was pretty bad here in my neighborhood for a couple of days there, but it's gotten better. I can still taste a little bit of it. It is the water was never unsafe to drink. These are purely aesthetic issues, and if you drive around Indiana or other states, you're going to find a lot of funny tasting water in the summertime just about everywhere. So it certainly isn't an unusual situation. As for what you can do to deal with it, well, the first thing is you can, what I've found to be effective is an ice cube, and just getting it colder seems to make it taste better to me. You can also, if you have a carbon filter, like a Brita filter or one of those pitchers that has the Brita filter built in, that's basically what we put in the water at the plant to take the same stuff out. So if you happen to have one of those, or you want to put a new cartridge in it, that's another thing you can do. At some level, you can tough it out, I guess, but I've been doing the ice cube trick personally. Other people may have had some other, if you have a reverse osmosis filter at home, you probably never even noticed. So that would be my suggestion. Don't buy bottled water.
And Ms. Roberts.
Yes, I was just curious if there's been no taste or odor issues at the plant. How many days does it take for the system to get that good tasting water to everybody?
That's a great question. The farthest points out in our distribution system are 7 to 10 days away from the plant. So we're probably going to have to turn over the water in the system 2 or 3 times to get it all out of there. But we were talking this morning, this is purely anecdotal, but our water plant superintendent says that it didn't taste strong at his house until late last week. And he lives pretty far out in our distribution system. So my guess is it's going to be in another week or so, it's going to be pretty much gone.
Other questions or comments? Oh, Mr. White.
Vic, on your first topic of staffing, it's good that we have a new employee. I'm just curious, how many openings do we have, and are we having trouble filling those? There are lots of issues about this, and well, really all over the country. But I just wanted to know whether it's causing CBU any issues to find the employees, do the recruiting and retention as well.
Well, actually, we have had quite a bit of turnover in T&D in recent months. Part of that is simply because wages are really high in the construction industries right now, and it becomes difficult for us to compete at some level, especially with things like master equipment operators, operators that can operate backhoes and things that are digging around other buried infrastructure are hard to find and expensive. We have been working with HR. The city is aware of the situation and the problem, and we are talking about approaches that we can take to make things work better. But it's a difficult problem for everyone right now, and salaries and wages have been increasing dramatically. This is no doubt going to come up next year with the next contract negotiations with AFSCME, but it's too early to predict how that all is going to shake out. But presently, we have openings for some line people, and in T&D, when we get line people, they usually came up from being laborers. So if you hire a couple new line people, that's great. Now you got to turn around and hire a couple new laborers right behind them.
But we're doing okay. Vacancy wise, we're able to handle things, even though you're having some retention issues.
Right, we're able to keep things moving. Some of our projects have slowed down a little bit. System-wide, we have 16 vacancies right now. A large number of those are in T&D, but we've also got one operator at the Monroe plant, and I think we've got an operator at a wastewater plant, and several other vacancies throughout our system.
That's higher than usual?
A little bit higher than usual. Usually we have 8 or 9 vacancies at any given time.
Okay, thank you.
And Julie.
Just to piggyback on what Kirk was asking, when water main break season occurs, I'd imagine we're going to need those backhoe operators who can dig around utilities. Do we think that's going to be a problem? And,
Well,
and 2 questions. And do we have the ability to raise wages, or do we have to wait till we renegotiate the AFSCME contract?
We don't have the ability to simply raise wages right now, or that would be something that would happen during collective bargaining. We do have enough equipment operators right now to handle main break season. We should be okay. We are also exploring the prospect of having a contractor that could help us out in an emergency. But up to now, we haven't had that emergency yet.
Any other questions for Vic at this point? And Vic, did you have any other items?
I do have one more thing, and that is I'm happy to let you know that we have come to a settlement agreement in principle with all of the parties that had intervened in the water rate case. I can't talk about any of the details of that right now because the filings aren't complete. They'll be filed by the 6th of October. We have a settlement hearing with the IURC on the 22nd of October. If you map out that calendar, that would lead to us probably enacting the tariff on January 1st of 2022. So it's been a long time coming. We've been working very hard on it for a very long time. Laura and her team have really been tearing it up with all the data requests we've had to deal with, and Brad Schrader's worked on that a lot too, and of course all of our outside contractors. But at this point, we have an agreement in principle, and we will know more in the next week and a half. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vic, and thanks so much to you and your staff for doing all that work on the rate case. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim Sherman.
Yeah, Vic, I have a question. I noticed that the sanitation department of the city has had a number of COVID cases and contact tracing, and they're not doing recycling pickup this week. How are we doing at CBU in terms of COVID cases?
Well, I guess it was week before last, I guess. We had several cases the same week. We had 2 in T&D, 1 at Dillman, and 1 in the environmental group. So that was the only time we've had more than 2 through the whole pandemic. We had 2 early on in 1 week. Other than that, it's been 1 at a time, basically, when we've had them. But we did have 4 of them a couple of weeks ago. Fortunately, they weren't all in the same work group, and it doesn't appear that there was transmission at work. So we're fairly optimistic, but we have not had a situation come on us like the situation they're dealing with in sanitation.
Thank you.
Okay, Thank you. All right. Well, thanks so much, Vic, for that report. Next is petitions and communications from the public. And Holly, I'll check in with you to see if there's any public comment.
There are none.
Okay. Well, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a
Good night,
good
everyone.
evening.